Welcome everyone for the Sunday morning session of the Science of Self-Realization. So let's offer our prayers to Prabhupada and begin our session. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra Ki Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I've been discussing about a very interesting topic since last session on the on the subject of protecting oneself from illusion. This is a very wonderful discussion wherein Prabhupada is having a letter exchange with one of the say America. That is the context here. So as the Iskcon movement was growing, reaching out to different parts of the world, Prabhupada had to face many challenges with his fledgling organization, with new young disciples who are all very, very beginners in the practice of bhakti. So this particular topic which we're discussing since last week is basically a letter exchange which Prabhupada had with one of the public, right? So there was a lady by name Leni Ludwig. She wrote a letter to Prabhupada telling that I have interacted with two of your disciples at different times, and they seem to have a very negative outlook about the life which people lead in the outside world. So she was having that understanding that disciples of yours are supposed to spread love, whereas they are not spreading love. Rather, looks like they're giving a sort of a different message to the people, contrary to love. So she wanted to tell Prabhupada that this is my observation, and maybe you should train your people, your disciples, in a way that when they go out to public, they should be, giving the proper message. That was the letter. So in response to that letter, Prabhupada very nicely explained to her, which we will discuss, what we discussed in the previous session and what Prabhupada is going to say in today's, we'll discuss as we move forward. So this is the topic, protecting oneself from illusion, part 2. And today we'll go to conclude this topic. And all these discussions are happening by the inspiration of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement, Iskcon. So we, in the previous session, as I gave an introduction about a letter written by one lady, Leni Ludwig, to Prabhupada. In answer to that, Prabhupada, first and foremost in his letter, he sought forgiveness for his beloved disciples. Prabhupada was telling that I was traveling continuously because of some engagements in India. So I couldn't see your letter immediately and respond to it. And this is one important aspect of Prabhupada. You can see how, as a leader for a big organization, worldwide organization, even though he was extensively traveling and setting up the organization, he used to take time to respond to every letter from anybody, either his disciples or any public which is coming to him. Prabhupada used to very nicely respond to them and give them the Krishna consciousness or the Vedic understanding of what actually they're supposed to know. So Prabhupada is a very gentle person, He is seeking forgiveness for his beloved disciples because maybe they have represented in a different way. Now, Prabhupada started explaining what is the reason that his disciples were seemingly having a negative outlook towards the world and the people around them. Prabhupada's first reason was Maya is attacking everyone constantly all the time. We are in a world known as Maya world. This material world is called Maya world, wherein the superintendent of this world is Durga. She is trying to control us by punishing us in different ways. Why does she want to punish us? Because we as spirit souls have done a criminal action of forgetting Krishna. Right? We have forgotten Krishna and we have disobeyed the laws of Krishna and we have been put into this prison house. This material world is a prison house. And here the jail superintendent, that is Durga, is Maya Devi is punishing us. So as soon as you try to come out of her control, again trying to trap you back. That is what is going on now. So practically all of us are under the control of Maya, one way or the other. That's the point which Prabhupada wants to tell as a beginning, aspect to this lady. That basically we are all constantly attacked by Maya. And my disciples, sorry. So my disciples, maybe because they are very new neophytes, sometimes it looks like they are too much worried about their very beginning devotional service. So they are fearing that they are feeling threatened that if their devotion is being attacked or rather is being compromised, they want to be overly protective. That's the reason sometimes it looks like they are, having a negative outlook, because Maya, the material energy, is constantly trying to keep us under her control, clutches. It's a very important principle which Lord Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. The Maya is acting so strongly on all of us through her different energies. It's called modes, Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. She is constantly keeping us bound by her energies. This Guna means ropes. We are bound by the ropes. And these bodies are all like the imprisonment which shackles of imprisonment which the Maya is giving us. Continuously, life after life, we are changing our bodies. It is a situation. So as beginners in bhakti, definitely these very young disciples may be trying to protect themselves, and sometimes they overly react to a situation wherein it may look like they are having a negative outlook. So then Prabhupada explains how we need to have a materialistic outlook with regard to, rather pessimistic outlook with regard to this material life itself. Very interesting perspective Prabhupada gives. Why? Because this material world itself is certified by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita that it is a place of misery and it's a place of non-permanence. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Miseries of repeated birth, death, old age, disease, a lot of miseries and pains, sufferings. And even though you want to adjust and stay in this material world, you cannot stay here because it is a temporary place. This is the situation in this material world. So coming to this point of realization is not easy, right? Whereas in the material world, everybody is trying to see how best I can enjoy and how best I can squeeze out, maximum gratification to my senses, to the different arrangements which I make here. So this we have discussed in our previous topic, how devotees are so compassionate. And Prahlad Maharaj says, this in the material world, people are all busy in what is known as Maya Sukha. Maya Sukha means illusory happiness, right? So unless we develop a very pessimistic attitude towards the world around us, because whatever way you try to, conduct yourself or lead a life of, very careful and cautious way, you are going to be, you're going to be ending your life with frustration and disappointment. This is the material world. So the advice given in the scriptures is that this material world's nature is this. It is temporary. It is full of problems. So please have a pessimistic attitude or pessimistic outlook towards this world and never have any hopes that I'm going to one day going to be happy here. This is, the way Prabhupada wanted to impress upon this person that yes, first of all, we are in the Maya world. And secondly, the material world's nature is that we cannot have happiness here. So we need to have a pessimistic attitude with regard to this world around us. And one more aspect Prabhupada pointed out in the letter of that lady is that she was mentioning about love and love and love. Your disciples should spread love, right? So Prabhupada says, actually, this whole world here, what we say as love is not love. It is actually lust. Lust means desire for personal gratification. The word love, basically, if you properly analyze it, it is only meant for loving God. There are Sanskrit words to describe this. The type of desire, attraction, attachment we have to things and people around us is called lust, kama. And the type of attraction towards God and the dealings between God and the devotees is called love. It's called love of God. So basically, love can be applied only to God in one sense. Whereas anything in the material world is only lust. The highest type of attraction which people are looking forward in the material world is attraction between opposite sex. Right? So everybody in the material world is only working for how to satisfy their sexual needs. Very nicely, Prabhupada summarizes in one context. Material life means attraction between opposite sex for sexual needs. Spiritual life means attraction towards God for satisfying Him. That is the essence of the material world and spiritual world. So basically, the material world, everybody is working hard to satisfy their own personal gratification. And when there is a strain or when there is disturbance in this activity, there is divorce, there is separation, there is quarrel, right? Like this, we can say, analyze and come to a conclusion that this whole world is spinning around sex life. This is what the material world is. And let's move forward. Today, Prabhupada is going to reveal much more wonderful principles, how people are all engrossed, entangled in the material world in a specific way. So we have this loving propensity. So where do we repose our love? Is the question. Right now, we're trying to repose our love with our beloved ones, which we feel or think that they are our beloved. It's like this relation between husband, wife, or boy and a girl, and then family, and you have nobody, then you'll have a pet animal, right? A dog or a cat. And then you want to repose all your love. So where do we want to repose our love? Very nicely, Prabhupada explains. Everyone wants to repose his loving tendency in some object, which is, in his opinion, worthy. Right? He has, developed some value for different objects, different situations, different people around him, right? Different emotions. Like this, we want to repose our loving propensity on all those things. Right? The very common expression we come across in our dealings is, oh, I love you, or I love this place, or I love this object, I love this food, right? I love this person. Means this loving propensity is something very much part of our existence as spirit soul. So this loving propensity we are trying to project or paste on different people, situation, objects around us, right? So this is what our life means. We want to see that I repose, I give love, and I expect reciprocation. Other person. That's what we always have, this type of expectation from things around us or people around us. So everybody wants to repose his loving tendency in some object which is, in his opinion, worthy. But what is happening? The question is one of ignorance only, because people have a poor fund of knowledge about where to find that supreme lovable object who is actually worthy to accept and reciprocate their love. A very wonderful statement. We want to repose our loving propensity, but the reciprocation from the other side, generally and mostly and always, is that it is not lasting for long. It may be lasting for a few seconds, few minutes, or few years, and whereas it's going to end one day. So we are not aware, or rather we are, as Prabhupada says, it's a question of ignorance only. Because of our poor fund of knowledge or because of our lack of understanding, who is that supreme lovable object, or what is that supreme lovable object where I can repose my love and that love can be reciprocated. Right? Not that we don't want to have one-sided love, but love should be reciprocated. Love means exchange of feelings, emotions. Right? You know the other person's mind and you want to please him. Other person also sees, oh, I want to please you like this. Like that, this is how love means. Love means is exchange. It's a relationship. Whereas in the material world, we see this these relations, either it is one way or it is disturbed by so many other aspects. It is having a lot of defects. That's what Prabhupada want to say. Simply, people do not know. There is no proper information. Our loving propensity is there. We are just trying to project love on everything and anything around us. But that reciprocation we are not getting. Proper reciprocation to the extent in which we are expecting. As soon as you have some attachment for anything material, it will kick you on the face, deteriorate, and disappoint you. This is the end, or rather the conclusion of the so-called love in the material world. Right? Prabhupada very nicely says in one context that, yeah, initially the boy and girl, they are loving each other so much. But after 2 years, everything fizzled out. That much attraction, that much, feelings are not there, just over. This is called lust. So the material world, whatever we experience or we want to, have our feelings and emotions, it's all having limitations. Very important point. Finally, this love, what you want to have from people around you or things around you, anything material, it will finally kick you on the face. Prabhupada says, it will deteriorate your expectations. It will disappoint you finally. Right? We have example of Mahatma Gandhi ji, who said, now that our India is had got independence, but I am the most unhappy person on this earth. Why? Because the way I wanted to have independence, it didn't happen. India was divided into different parts of different parts. That way, he was very unhappy. So the different type of attachments we have to in the material world will end up like this with only frustration and disappointment. It's an important lesson we have to have in our understanding of how in the material world everything will finally frustrate you. It's bound to dissatisfy and frustrate you. That's a fact. This is how the material world is. Finally, you're going to end up with this. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita is a statement, Lord Krishna says, Moghasha Mogha Karmano Mogha Jnana Vichetasaha. He says that your desire your desires to have many things is bewildering you. And to achieve those desires or fulfill those desires, you work hard to, in different ways, and those activities will bewilder you. And Mogha Jnana, because to fulfill those desires and to act in a particular way, you have many plans made. Many big, very big plans you have made. All those plans will finally bewilder you again more and more, frustrate you more and more. This is how the material world is. So it's bound to dissatisfy and frustrate you. That's a fact. But these young boys in your country and all over the world are accepting, yes, this is a fact. And they're getting the right information from Krishna. So coming to this level of understanding, the aspect of the true nature of this material world is something, not easy for everybody. Otherwise, people are just in their own Maya Sukha. Maya Sukha means illusory happiness. So much absorbed in illusory happiness. They are not even aware of what's going on in the material world with them and people around them. So coming to this level of awakening and understanding is something which is a very special situation, right? And they're getting the right information from Krishna. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is revealing all these truths and facts to all of us. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanvan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually wise surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So to come to this point of understanding that this material world is going to finally frustrate you is an aspect of knowledge, understanding. This will take many lifetimes, this realization. And understanding that Krishna is the cause of all causes. Finally, you have to repose our love to Krishna. To come to this level of realization is very rare. So Krishna says, again, such a person is very rare. He's a Mahatma, a great soul. Initially, in the beginning of this letter, Prabhupada mentioned to this lady that coming to this level of surrender to Krishna is very, rare. So they are great souls, Mahatmas. And here also Krishna is telling to coming to this level of realization that material life, material happiness is frustrating, disappointing, dissatisfying, is not easy. Such a great soul is very rare. So finally, the next Prabhupada is going to give us a wonderful perspective of this material world. Material world is a prison house, actually. Again, Krishna uses the word Mahatma, great soul. Just now we read that verse. Therefore, our devotees that you have met are not ordinary boys and girls. No. The disciples, the people, the youngster, the youth who are trying to be part of this wonderful movement, they are not, ordinary boys and girls. They're all, great souls. They are to be considered actually wise, great souls, because they have experienced in many births the miserable disease of material life and have become disgusted. It's very wonderful, correlation Prabhupada is making. Because the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, after many births, one will realize the true nature of this material world, which means somebody has realized it, means he has gone through many lifetimes and come to this level of understanding, realization. It's like telling somebody is sitting on the bench as a judge. Means he has gone through the schooling, college, law college. Finally, he's qualified to sit as the judge. Not at all of a sudden, he's just made a judge and he's sitting there. No. So when somebody has come to the point of realization that this material world is frustrating, disappointing. It is good for nothing. This is not an ordinary realization. It has evolved through many lifetimes. He has realized this, has come to this point of realization now, after going through, experiencing in many births the miserable disease of material life, and they have become disgusted now. Therefore, they are seeking higher knowledge. They are seeking something better. And when they find Krishna and surrender unto him, they become Mahatmas who are actually situated in knowledge. So the different youth who are trying to take up the practice of bhakti seriously, which means in their previous lives, they have experienced all this. This material world is an ongoing, existence, right? Repeatedly it is created, repeatedly it is maintained, repeatedly it is annihilated. So many lifetimes you have passed, right? So when they find Krishna and surrender unto him, people, then they are not ordinary people. They are actually realized people. They are situated in knowledge, proper understanding. This material world is just like a prison house. Why so? Because it is a punishing place meant to bring us to that point of becoming disgusted, surrendering at last to Krishna, and going back to our original nature of eternal life in bliss and complete knowledge. Just like in the prison, there is an opportunity for the prisoners to reform themselves. It's called reformation centers. But the prisoners realize their mistake and transform themselves into good citizens. So similarly, this material world is a place, is a prison house meant to punish the living entities who have violated the laws of God, and so that they understand that this material world is a place of complete disappointment and disgusting situation. Finally, surrender to Krishna is what is going to save me. Surrender to Krishna means you are going to regain your spiritual existence. Therefore, it is to the credit of these devotees that they have done what is sudurlabha, very rare among all men in human society. So Prabhupada is trying to point out the speciality of the devotees with regard to their surrendering at a very young age and wanting to move forward in their journey of spiritual life. It is so encouraging that it is not easy. It's a very rare situation. It is not everybody does this, because everybody is enamored by the illusory energy, illusory maya. So Prabhupada further says, this aspect of having awakened understanding and love towards God is not that it is artificial. It is actually a very natural thing. This love of God is already dormant in everybody's heart. By surrendering to Krishna, one will find the final object in which to invest his love, God. Right? We began our discussion today by telling where do we repose our loving propensity? Right? People are trying to find out different objects, different situations, different people, but different purposes. Right? All these things is finally going to, in the material world, is going to frustrate you, disappoint you. But when you have come to the point of right understanding, proper knowledge, that surrendering to Krishna, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Sarva Karana Karanam, Krishna is there, you have surrendered to him only. This is the final goal, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi. I am the Gati. Gati means I am the final destination. So, if we repose our love in Krishna, invest our love in Krishna, that is going to give you a real satisfaction. Otherwise, anything else you do, you'll be going on in the material world again and again and again, repeatedly taking births. Love of God is present in everyone, just like fire in an unlit match, but it is covered over. Right? The unlit matchstick, has fire in it. The proper procedure, proper process, the fire is again ignited. So, the fire or the love of God, that loving propensity, where from it is coming? Because we as spirit soul are originally part and parcel of God. And that loving propensity towards God is there in us. But right now it is covered. Right? It is covered by our polluted consciousness. This has to be again awakened. It has to be again rejuvenated. This is the process of bhakti. But if one somehow or other develops his dormant love of God, what happens? Again, Krishna becomes his supreme adorable object, supreme friend, supreme master, or supreme lover. Then he shall never again become disappointed or unhappy. Lord Krishna is ready to associate with all of us in different types of relationships. As a master, as a friend, as a lover, as a son, whatever you want, whatever way you want. Right? That is what in the material world we're trying to have our loving relationships, so-called loving relationships, which are not going to last forever. It is entangling actually. Whereas the relationship with Krishna is going to be everlasting, eternal, and permanent. And this relation with Krishna is going to be eternal. It's not going to disappoint you or make you unhappy because Krishna is unlimited. Unlimited in his mercy, unlimited in his relational exchange. Right? He's waiting for us to adopt or take up this ourselves with regard to relating with him. Rather, because his loving propensity is rightfully placed. So Krishna says further, when you take up this surrender to Krishna, your propensity to love is rightfully placed. Matchitta matkata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanticha ramanticha. The devotees whose life is surrendered to Krishna is always enjoying great satisfaction and bliss. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that one whose mind is absorbed in him, who has dedicated their life to him, or surrendered to him, and whose life is just engaged in glorifying Krishna, talking about Krishna amongst the devotees, he is actually enjoying great satisfaction and bliss. And he is constantly enlightened, always positive, not negative, as you say. Prabhupada is pointing out to the, that lady, Lini Lidwig, that you told negative outlook. No, actually, internally, they have a very dynamic activity of surrendering to Krishna and they are very positive internally. Outside world, people may give a mask or a face of, I am very happy, but internally they are very unhappy. What is the use of such a mask? Of just showing off that I am happy externally, but internally you are having so many, frustrations, depressions, and the disappointments going on in your life. That is not the happy. Whereas with devotees, yes, apparently they may look like though they are negative towards the material world, have a negative outlook, but internally they know what is the right thing. That's the point. Because based on Bhagavad Gita's instructions, Krishna says they are enjoying life internally. They are called Atma Rama. So with this, Prabhupada explains the symptoms of advanced devotees. The advanced devotee is a friend of everyone. Again, to clarify to this lady, Lili Nidway, that yes, the disciples of mine whom you met may not be advanced, but the symptoms of advanced devotee is that they are not supposed to have a negative outlook. They're supposed to be friend of everyone. The advanced devotee is friend of everyone. It's like Prabhupada is. The other symptoms, Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma, they are purified soul, engaged in loving devotional service to Krishna. Right? And they are also Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. They are dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. Just see. Right? A advanced devotee means a devotee who is quite mature in his devotional service. He is a purified soul engaged in bhakti and he is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him. This should be the way moving forward. Another place, Krishna claims that Yomad Bhakta Same Priyaha. his devotee who is very dear to him. Advesta sarvabhutana maitra karuna evacha. He is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities. So Prabhupada is trying to point out the advanced devotees have these various wonderful symptoms. They are friend to everyone. They are not envious to anybody. Right? He is dear to everyone. He is a person who is fixed up in devotional service. This is what the advanced devotees' symptoms are. The devotee is supposed to be furthermore equal to everyone. Pandita Samadarshinaha. So all these various symptoms of advanced devotee, Prabhupada is giving from Bhagavad Gita's instructions of Lord Krishna. He never discriminates saying this one is good, this one is bad. No. He has no such discriminatory sort of a behavior. These are descriptions of the more advanced stages of Krishna consciousness that devotees get by development of mature knowledge. But what has happened with his two young disciples, Prabhupada is trying to explain. The new devotee whom you have met may not be so much mature. Right? At present, many of our students are very young boys. It will take some time to mature, just like when a fruit in the tree is just, it is from a flower, it has become a small fruit. It is not even, not grown big and not sufficient enough ripened. It's not mature enough. Right? So at the present moment, our students are all very young boys. They are learning gradually, and the process is so effective, certain, and authorized that if they stick to it, they will come to the right point, as you say, of loving. Prabhupada uses three important words here. Right? These students of mine, they should learn, and gradually, I'm sure, if they stick to this process, they will also become mature. But they have to stick to this process, not that they give up. Right? So, because the process itself is very effective, very certain, and authorized. Prabhupada is telling the process is so effective that anybody adopts this process and sticks to it, you will get the effect. And it's authorized process. It's like example which Prabhupada often gives. When you keep an iron rod in the fire, the fire is effective. Iron rod has its own properties. But iron rod has to be kept for a certain period of time. Only then that iron rod will get that heat from the fire, and that's the iron rod will become red hot. Right? So the process has to be followed. That's the point. So the process itself is very potent. It is sure. Success is sure. And the process is authorized. Whatever Prabhupada was teaching was from Krishna's teachings, Bhagavad Gita's teachings. Authorized process, nothing manufactured, nothing concocted. Right? And the success is sure, just like in chemistry laboratory, you mix two chemicals and you get one particular compound. Right? It's the process you have studied in our theory classes, and now it's going to be proved. It is authorized process. It is. Like that, Prabhupada says, anybody adopts to this process, sticks to this process, and goes on in his life, he will definitely come to the advanced stage of mature devotees. That's what Prabhupada wants to say. But that love is not material, so it should not be judged on the false, sentimental platform of ordinary, mundane dealings. That is our point. So Prabhupada is clarifying. What otherwise people think, loving relation, loving dealings, loving way of talking, all this is all on a very false, sentimental platform in the material world. They may make a show of very very refined, sophisticated way of dealings, right? But the love towards Krishna is nothing to do with this material way of dealings. It should not be judged on a false platform of material way of dealings. Krishna consciousness or spirituality is beyond all this type of a superficial way of dealing things in the material world. Therefore, to say they are not loving may be true from the materialistic point of view. Right? Because the word love was used by that lady in the letter many times. Prabhupada says, yes, maybe from the material point of view, it may look like that. But what is the internal aspect? Prabhupada explained already. Right? They're trying to connect themselves with Krishna again, revive the connection with Krishna, and trying to be happy within by practicing the devotional aspect of uh, uh, the various aspects which various processes which Krishna has given us. They have given up affection for family, friends, wife, country, race, and so on, which is all based upon the bodily concept of life or flickering sense gratification. People in the material world are trying to find love, affection, the different arrangements like family, friends, country, wife, race, so many things. But all this is superficial. It's all going to end with this body. Doesn't mean that we have to not do our duty. Yes, we have to do our duty, but understand that this is only for this body. That's why it's called bodily concept of life. And it is flickering. It's not going to be permanent. But whereas our propensity to love is eternal. That way to repose is the question which we are discussing. They have become a little detached from Maya's love or lust, and they want Krishna's love or endless, fully rewarding love, but they have not yet developed to that point. That's all. So Prabhupada is trying to point out, yes, of course, these boys, they are in the process right now. Not that they have become mature or advanced immediately. They are in the process. It will take some time, provided they stick to the process or they adhere to the process very strictly. So right now, you may not see the symptoms of advanced devotee in them, but nevertheless, they are on the track. Eventually, they will become advanced, provided they are sincere in this process. So it may look like they are little not so mature, or rather they are very raw with regard to dealing with people. But nevertheless, their step of moving towards the spiritual journey is what you have to appreciate. We cannot expect that all of a sudden your countrymen who are addicted to so many bad habits. In the Western countries, people are addicted to so many bad things. But all of a sudden, they will become, something great. It's like it is said, Rome was not built in a day. It took time. It takes time, right? So many lifetimes of conditioning. You cannot expect it to happen within no time. It will take some time. So suddenly, your countrymen who are addicted to long habits, they'll become very pure, not easy. Right? Don't expect that they'll give up eating flesh, taking intoxicants, having illicit sex, and so many other nasty things, and overnight become great self-realized souls. That is not possible. That is utopian. So Prabhupada is pointing out what expectation you have with regard to the youngsters, the young disciples, which you found them to be a little more negative, having a negative outlook. It's not that they have become overnight pure. No, they are in the process. It will take some time. So Prabhupada says, finally, concludes his response by telling these devotees, these young disciples, they have surrendered to Krishna. That surrendering is not a mistake. Right? Maybe they are not mature enough. But just being initiated as Krishna's devotee puts one in the topmost category of human society. Initiated means you have begun the process of your journey of spiritual understanding, spiritual practice, spiritual progress. That is called initiation. Right? So you have begun. So that itself is good enough. Just like you have started from one point and you are moving towards slowly to the destination. That is a very good thing, very great thing. And that itself makes you distinct from the rest of the human society who doesn't even know where I have to move forward. So Krishna says, Sabuddhiman Manusheshu Sayukta Krishna Karmakrit. He is intelligent in human society. See, Prabhupada is always quoting from Bhagavad Gita so extensively to make his points. Krishna says such a person is intelligent in human society. one who is surrendered to Krishna, who is moving forward in his spiritual journey. He is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. It may look like a devotee is engaged in many activities like any other outside person, but his internal way of seeing things and offering things is for Krishna. Whereas any other person, his internal disposition is that he wants things for himself or his extended self. That's the difference. So devotee is in transcendental position, although is engaged in all sorts of activities. And although such a devotee may not even have advanced to the highest level of spiritual understanding, still he is considered the most exalted personality, regardless of any temporary frailties. So you see the intention and the and the background with which a person is trying to devote himself or surrender to himself to Krishna. That is very important. The intention matters, right? So he may not be advanced as per the descriptions given in scriptures or as per the expectation of outside people. Doesn't matter. But he has begun his journey towards spiritual perfection. That is what you're supposed to see. So these temporary frailties should not be considered. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Apiche suduracharo bhajate ma mananya bhat sadhureva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito hivaya saha. Even if a devotee commits the most abominable actions, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. Just see, Krishna is making this statement in Bhagavad Gita. It may look seemingly that a devotee is engaged in some abominable actions. But because he is engaged in devotional service, quickly he will come back to his position of devotion. Why? Because Krishna within the heart will guide him and give him proper directions with regard to how to correct himself, rectify himself and come to the right path. Right? As you will say, to err is human. Right? People do commit mistakes. Therefore, in the neophyte stage, we may always expect some discrepancies. Neophyte means the beginning, the beginner's stage. You may, like when you start, when you first time you want to drive a bicycle, you will fall down. You may not have the that balance immediately. You will learn. You will fall down many times. Only then you will learn how to ride a bicycle. Likewise, in the neophyte stage, we may always expect some discrepancies. Kindly see the thing in this light and forgive their small mistakes. Right? The big thing is that they have given everything, given their lives to Krishna, and that is never a mistake. Right? So they are on the right path. They are trying to follow the instruction of Krishna. Yes, they are not mature enough. That is that is very much understandable. But they have never done a mistake in their life with regard to surrendering to Krishna. With regard to this step of surrendering to Krishna is not a mistake from their part. It is a big thing in their life because ordinarily people are busy in their own Maya Sukha. Whereas these disciples of mine, they want to give up Maya Sukha and come to Krishna. This is not a mistake. It is a very big step they have taken. Right? So from this point of view, you see the things and then forgive them. So Prabhupada began his letter by telling, forgive my disciples. But what is the reason for forgiveness? Prabhupada is giving the background here. Very nicely written letter. Prabhupada ends the letter by telling, your ever well-wisher. Prabhupada always writes this. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So with this, we conclude this topic. Very interesting topic of how to protect ourselves from illusion. Just running to Krishna, serving Krishna is going to help us and save us. Otherwise, there's no other way. Okay, fine. So I'll conclude here. If anybody has anything to ask, discuss, comment, take up a few questions or comments.
Yeah, Prabhuji, this is a fact. Ever since we have started spending time on devotional activities, our behavior has changed a lot. Undergone a change.
Yes.
Earlier, we used to get upset with small things. But now we are able to appreciate.
Right? It's a process. Just like in the school, when you go, not that day one you enter the school, you have studied everything. It's a process. Step by step, it will happen. And gradually, as you, involve yourself in the different curriculum and different, various activities of the schools, various activities, that will make yourself move forward. That's what Prabhupada says. As you rightly pointed out, there's a statement in the Bhagavata. Just engage yourself in devotional service. All the good qualities of even great devatas will manifest in you gradually. You do not separately enter.
It's very true. Recently, our office, first one floor of the office got gutted in fire, complete fire during daytime. And a lot of loss, but there was no panic.
Yeah, the same situation. Otherwise, in a normal, when you are not, having practicing devotion, you would have taken it in a different way.
Yes.
This has matured your way of seeing things. That's called perception.
We were with some very, VIP people having some serious meetings. When we got the news, the office got fire. And so the visitor was also saying, "Why don't you rush in?" That's why it's a big change which we feel is taking place.
It's all because of Krishna's mercy. When you start chanting Krishna and you read Gita, Krishna will slowly give us all the necessary, internal strength, spiritual strength to handle situations.
I think so.
Very nice. Good to know that. Thank you, Guptaji, and thank you, everybody. So let's now, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.